Hello everyone, short video for you today. Today is the 25th of September, and I noticed from the house the other day that we were getting some green on the farm ground. So we're gonna head down and take a look at the rye. Now you may notice, if you watch the planting video, you may notice it's a little bit wet. Now we got an inch of rain while we were planting, and then a couple days after we almost got done. We still haven't planted that piece there. That green, it might be volunteer, it's probably weeds. But anyway, we got a couple inches of rain the other day. And so it's still pretty wet and it's cooled off. It's, you know, we've gotten into fall around here, but I also want to see how the hill has done because I did some work on it. So this is a dual purpose trip. But like I said, I noticed it was pretty green from the house. So we're gonna go see how the rye's getting along, what kind of coverage we have, if anything skipped real bad. And I tell you, even though it was later in the season, a little bit of rain really made this grass perk up. Oh yeah. I don't know if you got how well you guys can see it on camera. We're gonna get closer, but this corner has come up good. This strip has come up good. And I think the big piece over here is coming up good too. So let's pay attention to the road because this is the spot I didn't do a heck of a lot on. That washed how I wanted. I widened the road a little bit here. It didn't wash out completely. That's good. I literally put a bunch of dirt on here and then it rained 2 inches. So, you know, but I dug out both of my silt traps and they did what they were supposed to do. Now let's go down here and see how any of this worked. I need to do more work on this hill. Cows have been down here, obviously. They like the Bermuda grass down in that bottom. Need to build the road up here still. So I dug that out quite a bit. It seems to be doing its job. This is kind of a mess through here, but just need to build it up again. Now right up, starting now, is where I put a bunch of dirt the other day, and it was pretty wet. And so I got it packed in pretty good, put some more grass on the side, and up here as well in this spot, so it all looks good. Yeah, I like that. Probably about 3 inches tall. I'm gonna get a tape measure because sometimes I'm a little off on my measurements. Let's get up here and then we'll get out and start looking at stuff. Get our tape measure here. Now this spot is really nice because we can see just about everything. So, well, we'll just go ahead and look at the big piece here real quick. And again, I don't know how much of this is going to come up on camera, but it all came up. Sometimes you have to get at a different angle to see it all. But it all came up. I don't see any spots where it skipped. And that was a concern I had. That piece over there, if I'm pointing at the right spot, I think I am, but that piece over there is the one I'm most worried about. This, we had the drill pretty well cleaned out. This is after we started screening the seed. And somebody emailed me and said that we could have just run the grain through the other side of the drill because it's a double run. And the other wheel there, drop wheel, is for, I'm going to say coarser crops, you know, corn and beans and such. And I hadn't thought about that, but I mean, that's not a bad idea. Might try that next year. Okay, so this strip here, we just plant kind of as a courtesy. It doesn't really yield us much of anything. Funny story, actually, this had grown up and I think Dad had figured it was gonna make 60 bushel. It's not even an acre, but it would have made 60 bushel an acre, about. And we turned the cows into this pasture. And we thought, oh, the rye is real mature, they won't bother it. They came in here and they stomped this all flat. It looked like a war zone. I mean, it was some of the most beautiful rye you ever seen in your life, and they just flattened it. And I think they were mad because at the time we didn't let them go into the south pasture to the pond. Well, I know they were mad, but I don't really care. So on the other end, it's a little bit taller, but right here, get my tape out, we'll get a good representative here. couple 3 inches tall. Of course, you guys can't see that on camera because I'm not at the right angle. Which means then that this stuff in the corner should be about the same. Now right here at the gate, the ground's a little bit more thin. And I don't see a lot of hoof prints. Some people might be concerned that letting the cows out here to graze on this stuff is going to hurt it. It doesn't. I guarantee you it doesn't. We'll walk out here a little bit further. Now, assuming you guys can see the rows here, you might be able to see how often turning has to be done on these fields. Now, granted, this is a smaller one, but still, there is a lot of turning we have to do around here for the ground that we have to farm. Same thing, a couple 3 inches tall. So that looks pretty good. Well, since we're still here in this little area, we'll go look at this field along the neighbor. Now, I've never really shown this field in its entirety, I don't think. But there's this little rounded portion here, then there's a spot where it narrows up there, and then it expands over on the other side. And, well, actually, if I remember, when we go up there to look at that field a little closer, we'll look back over here and you should be able to see this is a bigger piece than what you're looking at right now. But down here in this little area, this is a good, this will be a good representative of how things are looking. So the corner that we just looked at was planted first. That was the very first thing that we planted. And this was all planted about a week ago. Yeah, about a week ago. Did I say today was the 25th? Yes, that'd put us back at the 18th, 19th. Yeah, that'd be about right. That's about normal. Everything here looks good. Same height. This might actually be a little taller. This might be 4 inches. But it still looks pretty good. Doesn't look like the drill skipped too bad. Come over here where stuff has to be double drilled. About has to be the way turning was done. No, I guess it's just single drilled. So I don't believe I've mentioned this either, but that 8350 drill that we have, it's a 7.5 inch drill. And when I was talking to that guy over email about, you know, maybe running grain through the other side to help with the trash and stuff in it, I had mentioned to him in the response that we have to turn so much when we farm that everything ends up being double or triple drilled. We'd like a narrower drill, a 6 inch drill, but we don't have one yet, and they're kind of hard to find. But a 6 inch drill is what Dad has been wanting so he can plant stuff a little tighter. But you know, that 7.5 inch spacing does a good job. I mean, the rye has never grown poorly. It always does a good job, as you can see. So anyway, let's go up there and look at that top, and we should be about done. I suppose we could look at the other end of the big field too while we're at it. We'll see. Here we are at the largest of the smaller pieces, if that makes any sense. This isn't the best spot. Originally I was going to go down there where those cows are at, because that's a better end of the field to see how stuff's doing. But I wanted to come up here so that I could get about like right so, and then you should be able to see right over there is where that other field we just looked at continues and goes on. So it's fairly large. I mean, for what it is, it's a small field just in general. So this stuff here, this is the field I was most concerned about, because this is where the drill was plugging up the most. And it's skipping. I mean, you can tell that the coverage is just not as good on this piece, at least not in this spot. I mean, there's a lot coming up. It's not bad or anything, and I don't think we're going to set this aside for grain anyway, but it'll serve good for pasture, if nothing else. It is not the continuous coverage, the really nice coverage that we like to see. But it's not horrible. I mean, all things considered, we're lucky it did this. Should have cleaned the drills out better. Should have screened the seed a little bit better. You know, something like that. But anyway, it looks pretty good. This piece is going to get the most abuse in terms of grazing because the ponds are down that way and the cows like to walk across right in this area here, and they always walk back across here in the same spot because no matter how many times we rip this ground or plow it or disc it and, you know, chop up the cattle trails, I kid you not, every time they come back across in the exact same spot. I don't know if they've got something in their heads like geese where they know exactly where to go each time, but I am telling you, this cattle trail right here, it's the same cattle trail that's been here since for flipping ever, and they always put it back in the same spot. I don't know how. Sometimes we fence this piece off with hot wire, and the cows get mad they can't walk across it because for some reason they really like this piece. So it's going to see the most use in grazing because, like I said, they don't just walk across this to get back and forth from the pond. They also like to lay out here for some reason, and I don't know why. Whatever. They're cows. I'm just going to say something here real quick. It's kind of off the subject, but anybody that thinks cows are stupid, they are not stupid. They're just like any other animal, and like a lot of people. They're smart on one hand, they're really smart and they'll surprise you. And then on the other hand, they're very stupid. But in general, they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how the world works. All right, we'll come out here and look at the other end of this. In case any of you did not watch the planting video, and that's okay, it wasn't all that interesting, this piece here was plowed. So I expect it to perform the best. Of course, when it dries up, I imagine the cows will come out here and they'll start pawing at the ground and kicking up dirt because they like to do that. But this stuff is, again, about, I'm going to say 2 to 4 inches tall. Some of this is actually growing quite a bit. And it looks pretty good. It's hard to tell. This isn't quite as tall. But on those other pieces, you can really see it's doing good. So, rye is up. Rye looks good. It should do very well through the month of October. And by the time it starts to get cold, we should have some pretty good growth on this, and they should have some good eating through the winter. So, as long as we don't get army worms, because we had them one year. But as it gets colder at night, it'll kill the army worms, and if the rye gets big enough, they won't be able to hurt it. Usually, if they were going to come on and come about, it would be about this time. This is about the size that you would see them, but everything seems to be coming up good, and I'm happy with that. So, I will end the video here. I guess it probably did go on for a little bit, but, you know, whatever. So, this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment deal. I've got some other stuff in the works I'll get out before long, so I appreciate you guys stopping in, and we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.